is the way. This is the way.
Well, pull up your beach chair with a mojito in hand, because we're diving into the Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13, titled Pabu! Before we get into it, if you're a fan of our videos, please like our content and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out and gives us the opportunity to create more content for you. So we open up the episode and Fee Jano is back alongside Omega as they barter for a tree-shaped artifact from the criminal named Lance Crowder. He offers Fee a drink, but she turns it down knowing it's poison. Then he releases a Cahoon, which were last seen in Attack of the Clones. Jango Fett gave the bounty hunter Zam Wesell a pair of them to assassinate Padme Amidala. Just as in Episode 2, these little deadly space caterpillars were foiled by a blade, this time by Hunter's knife. Now, if you didn't catch it, Hunter actually sensed the movement of the Cahoon because part of his mutation is enhanced senses, alongside perceiving electromagnetic frequencies. Then we find out the whole gang is at the canteen and our crew alongside Fee get into a gunfight, and Omega skillfully uses her energy bow to shoot down a ceiling lamp that traps Crowder. We cut to Tech on the Marauder playing a game on Gonki against himself. I love Tech. He tells the droid of course he's playing against himself and remarks it's the only time the game is actually challenging. The showrunners have done a remarkable job this season on developing Tech's character into someone I find very endearing. All this time that has been invested into Tech makes me concerned for the character, and ultimately, I think by the end of this season, Tech will end up dying to save his brothers, most likely to save Crosshair. The crew fight their way out and board the Marauder. While on the Marauder in hyperspace, Omega gets a lot of praise for her help during the mission, and as an audience, we can tell she is becoming more and more of an active member of the Bad Batch in this season, and I very much like that. We continue to see our crew form a tighter and tighter bond. At this point, Sid calls over the HoloNet and explains that the Bad Batch's absence has cost her a few scores, being away 20 cycles. She remarks, "You would do well to not assume I am just threatening you boys." Throughout the holo feed, her voice deepens to an ominous tone, and with how many missions they have failed this season for Sid, alongside them skipping out on her, this implies that Sid's going to turn on them and rat them out to the Empire to make up for all the lost credits. But I think that this might actually be a misdirect, and the actual traitor will be Fee. At this point, Fee Jano takes the Bad Batch to a planet with an island called Pabu and shows them the Orakium, which is a repository the treasure Fee liberates from across the galaxy. Fee explains that Pabu consists of many refugees and the artifacts she finds are remnants from their cultures. We meet Shep Hazard, the mayor of Pabu, and his daughter Lyanna, and Lyanna calls Fee Auntie Fee, which our pirate friend gives the tree artifact to the little girl. The clones get invited to dinner, and I love how Wrecker eats until his heart's content and tells Hunter that he's full, and he's never full. We learn from Hazard that the people on Pabu are refugees from the war and other conflicts. Hunter asks him if he's worried about the Empire coming, but Hazard brushes it off, saying that the Empire wouldn't care for a remote island with limited resources. Then Lyanna takes Omega out on a boat ride. Once again, the visual effects team is knocking out of the park with the look of this episode. The island is picturesque and the ocean looks stunning. Then Hunter first picks up something might not be right, and he sees the monkey creatures known as the Muños begin to retreat, and then they experience a large tremor. Tech tells the mayor that Pabu is vulnerable to a sea surge, but Hazard tells him they haven't experienced one in over 3 decades. But just then, of course, the warning system kicks on. Omega and Lyanna are pulled farther out to sea and are stranded. The Bad Batch then help evacuate the residents to the top of the island, and Hunter uses the Marauder to rescue Omega and Lyanna just in time before the waves strike. Lower Pabu is decimated by the waves, but they manage to get everyone out in time. With many of the people now homeless, Hunter looks around and asks the mayor if they can stay to help rebuild Lower Pabu. And Tech remarks during this that it will take several rotations to rebuild. So we come to the end of this episode, and I think that we're going to get a large time skip in the next episode, which leads back to my theory. Ultimately, I think Fee Jano is playing the long con, and whether it's to ensure the safety of Pabu or just to get some quick credits, I think she will ultimately sell out the Bad Batch to the Empire, but make it look like Sid is the one doing it. Sid has been set up this entire time as someone who you shouldn't trust and would turn on you on a dime, but I think they're actually setting up Sid to be the one to eventually rescue the Bad Batch and show that she has in fact changed because of the Bad Batch. Time will tell. What do you guys think? Leave me a comment about this theory. So this episode ultimately is going to be the calm before the storm, and I think they made this episode to give us something nice before the absolute devastation we're about to see in the last few episodes this season. Knowing all that, it really couldn't compete with what we got last week, and from my rating of this episode, I'm gonna give this one a 6 out of 10. I think this episode sets up a lot for what's coming, but by itself, it wasn't as entertaining to me or as deep as some of the other episodes we've seen this season. So there you go, there's my breakdown and review for Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13, titled Pabu. What did you think of the episode? Leave me your comments and let me know. So thanks for joining me today on Fatherly Fandom, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And from our families to yours, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.